The real story of the Titanic disaster. In April 1912, the most luxurious ship ever built set sail across the Atlantic. It was called the RMS Titanic, a marvel of engineering and a symbol of human ambition. Many believed the ship was practically unsinkable. But just 4 days into its maiden voyage, disaster struck in the freezing waters of the North Atlantic Ocean. More than 1,500 people would lose their lives. This is the real story behind the sinking of the RMS Titanic. The Titanic was built by the shipbuilding company Harland and Wolff in Belfast, then part of the United Kingdom. It was owned by the White Star Line, which wanted to create the most luxurious passenger ship in the world. The Titanic was enormous for its time. It measured about 882 feet long and carried more than 2,200 passengers and crew. Many newspapers began calling the ship unsinkable, although the company itself never officially made that claim. On April 10, 1912, the RMS Titanic departed from Southampton, heading toward New York City. Along the way, the ship stopped at Cherbourg in France and Queenstown. Passengers came from many different backgrounds. The ship was commanded by experienced Captain Edward Smith, who had spent decades at sea. For the first few days, the voyage was smooth and uneventful. On April 14th, the ship began receiving multiple warnings from other vessels about icebergs drifting in the shipping lanes. However, the Titanic continued traveling at high speed through the cold waters of the North Atlantic Ocean. That night, the sea was unusually calm and the sky was clear, conditions that made icebergs harder to detect because there were no waves breaking against them. Lookouts in the crow's nest scanned the dark horizon. Then, just before midnight, they saw it, an iceberg directly ahead. At 11:40 p.m. on April 14, 1912, the RMS Titanic struck the iceberg. The collision lasted only seconds, but the damage was catastrophic. The iceberg scraped along the side of the ship, opening several holes in the hull below the waterline. Water quickly flooded multiple watertight compartments. The ship's designer, Thomas Andrews, soon realized the truth. The Titanic would sink. Crew members began preparing lifeboats, but there were not enough for everyone on board. At the time, maritime regulations required only 20 lifeboats, far fewer than needed for the ship's total passengers and crew. Passengers were initially told the situation was under control, but as the ship began to tilt, panic spread. Following maritime tradition, the crew gave priority to women and children when boarding lifeboats. Many lifeboats were launched only partially full because people did not yet realize how serious the situation was. As freezing seawater filled the ship, the bow slowly sank deeper into the ocean. Passengers and crew struggled to stay calm while waiting for rescue. Nearby ships were too far away to arrive quickly. Shortly after 2:20 a.m. on April 15, 1912, the RMS Titanic broke apart and disappeared beneath the icy waters of the North Atlantic Ocean. More than 1,500 people died, many from hypothermia in the freezing water. Only about 700 survivors were rescued. The survivors were eventually rescued by the passenger ship RMS Carpathia, which arrived several hours after the sinking. The tragedy shocked the world. Investigations in both the United States and the United Kingdom revealed serious safety failures. These investigations led to major reforms in maritime safety, including improved lifeboat requirements and the creation of the International Ice Patrol to monitor icebergs in the North Atlantic. More than a century later, the story of the sinking of the RMS Titanic continues to fascinate people around the world. The wreck of the RMS Titanic was finally discovered in 1985, resting nearly 12,500 feet below the ocean surface. The disaster remains one of the most famous maritime tragedies in history. It serves as a powerful reminder that even the greatest technological achievements can be vulnerable to human error and nature, and the lessons learned from that cold April night continue to shape maritime safety to this day.